We would like to begin by acknowledging this land on which the University of Toronto operates and on which this video is recorded. For thousands of years, it has been the traditional lands of the Huron-Wendat, the Seneca, and the Mississaugas of the Credit. Today, this meeting place is still home to many Indigenous peoples from across Turtle Island, and we're grateful to have the opportunity to work on this land. Hello, and welcome to the Northern Climate Data Report and Inventory, or NCDRI. My name is Paul Kushner, and I'm a professor at the University of Toronto. In a moment, I'll be introducing Alexandra Elias-Chereke, who is a doctoral candidate here at U of T. We will be introducing the NCDRI in this short video. In 2021 and 2022, I was part of a group of researchers who were brought together by the Canadian Centre for Climate Services of Environment and Climate Change Canada. And we were tasked with creating an inventory of climate data for the Canadian North. What you see here is the first page of our report, called the Northern Climate Data Working Group Report. The report we just showed was the first phase of our project. Its aim was to identify, inventory, and characterize the climate data available in northern Canada. The report was several hundred pages long, but it contained lots of useful information that had never been collected in such a way. We saw a need to produce a more accessible version. The result of this effort is the NCDRI, or this website that you're on. Alongside the contents of the report, which have been separated and organized to facilitate navigation, it includes a searchable inventory of northern climate data. We hope this documentation will lead to easier access to observed and modeled climate data for this important region. In the following, we will show the online inventory and example use cases for the search functions of the site. So now I'm going to hand things off to Alexandra.
Hello. As Paul mentioned, my name is Alexandra Elias-Chereke, and I'm a doctoral candidate at the University of Toronto. I will continue this video by presenting the online report, which provides information and descriptions of northern climate datasets. This will be followed by showing the online inventory, along with two short tutorials, which will address the search, filter, and explore capabilities of the NCDRI. You may have questions and comments by the end of this, so I will end my portion of the video by showing how you can provide feedback on this new resource. Let's begin. The first tab of the new site includes the online report. The report sections are all on separate pages, and they include the introduction, a general description of data sources, historical observations, and model data. As I said, the online report can be found in the first tab of the website. The introduction section highlights the motivations and objectives of the Phase 1 report. The general description of data sources includes detailed explanations of the various types of historical datasets considered in this report. There's a similar section related to climate model simulations related to the Canadian North. Next, there is a historical observation section with divisions into 4 categories. These 4 categories were used throughout the Phase 1 report, and they include meteorological data, snow and hydrology data, sea ice data, and permafrost data. Each category has introductory information as well as detailed descriptions for each variable. Finally, the model data section includes an overview of climate models applicable to the Canadian North, along with descriptions of data under the same categories as before: meteorological data, snow and hydrological data, sea ice, and permafrost. Aside from hosting the chapters of the Phase 1 report, the NCDRI includes a searchable database of available datasets, along with annexes for each one. The annexes represent useful collections of details for each dataset, along with pointers to the technical documents or other studies that use those same datasets. In the climate model section, an extended table of simulations is available. Having finished with that introduction to the new website, we will now move to 2 examples. We will use the example of a community in northern Canada interested in renewable energy to replace diesel. Of particular interest is the feasibility of a wind power project based on local and regional wind, temperature, and precipitation conditions that characterize the region, historical extreme or record events, and projected wind, temperature, and precipitation conditions in a changing climate. To help inform this assessment, we begin with historical observations to identify datasets that can provide information on climatological and extreme conditions associated with wind, temperature, and precipitation. Permafrost thaw will also be relevant for wind turbine installation should the wind, temperature, and precipitation conditions be found favorable for a wind power project. We may also be interested in projected conditions for the future when making this decision. Let's use the NCDRI to help inform this assessment. We will begin by clicking on Search Historical Observations under the Historical Observations tab. Next, we can explore or search these datasets by clicking on Explore. This will open filter options, allowing datasets to be searched by variable, name characteristics, data source, data type, time step, and data format. For this example and application, we will select surface wind speed under name and hourly under time step. We will then apply this filter, and the result will be these 6 datasets that appear. These consist of global and regional reanalyses, as well as station data for variable timeframes and data formats, the details about which can be found in the columns shown. The final column contains a link to pages containing more details for each dataset. For example, we can click the details link for MERA 2, which will lead us to a page with further descriptions, a pointer to the annex page with even more detail, as well as the primary reference for this dataset. To help anticipate the impacts of a changing climate on the region and proposed wind power project, we next explore model projections associated with the variables of interest. We begin by accessing the model data header and clicking on Table of Climate Model Simulations. On this page, we can use the Category of Variables column to see that surface wind speed is available in most simulation ensembles. Models selected will be governed by the spatial resolution, duration, and other criteria specific to the application. All of these details are contained in the table. And finally, the link to download data is found in the last column. Hopefully, it is now clear how the search function can be used and what information can be found in the NCDRI. Thank you for following along with the tutorial. As this website is new, feedback is welcomed and encouraged. So the final part of my walkthrough will show our feedback form. It's the last tab on the webpage. This feedback form can be used to give general remarks on the website and its contents. And you can share your contact information with us so we can get back in touch with you for follow-up. Thank you again for following through with this short tutorial. I hope that you will come back to continue making use of this new resource. And now I'll hand it back to Paul to wrap up.
Thank you, Alexandra. In this video, we provided an introduction to the online Northern Climate Data Report and Inventory, or NCDRI. This was built from the report of the Northern Climate Data Working Group. Alexandra walked you through the database and presented some examples of how to find useful information from the inventoried datasets. The website contains a lot of information about the different types of data available and its suitability for use and application for climate analysis, adaptation, and planning in the Canadian North. You can also find a downloadable copy of the Phase 1 report on the website. We invite you then to continue exploring the new website and to provide comments or feedback through the site. Thank you.